how much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too, and what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago? How much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Prediction Markets Edge right here on the early line. No better place to be on a Tuesday morning to get that information that you need. Now, sometimes we'll talk about FanDuel and DraftKings and different ways that you can invest your money, but in the predictive markets, Joe, profitability is on the horizon for you if you use it to your right advantages here. Donnie right side and Joe Ranieri. Joe, how we feeling? Prediction market time. Blast off.
I am ready, Donnie. A lot of good markets here, a lot of good opportunities starting tonight, in fact, across the board.
Come on, let's have some fun in the SEC. We told you already the Florida Gators are the SEC regular season champion, but also other teams in the SEC jockeying for position in the conference tournaments that will start next week. Take a look at the Kalshi marketplace. If you're just looking for a supposed money line, or let's just say who's going to win the game, Alabama trading at a 52% chance, Georgia at 48%, but also, Joe, if we're looking at the spread in total, which you can invest in on Kalshi, 47% here is the chance that Alabama wins by 2.5 points or more, and also over 178.5 listed at a 51% chance. A lot of points listed here. Alabama and Georgia should be a good one tonight down in the SEC. Joe, what are we looking at?
Well, it should, Donnie, right? Because you got an Alabama team that coming in right now, winners of 8 in a row, and it had a huge road win against Tennessee last time out over the weekend that they had to come from behind for. So to me, you're talking about the third most efficient offense in Bama. You're talking about the fastest tempo team in Georgia here. Georgia needs this win more than Alabama does. That is for sure if we're talking about the tournament. But it feels like this might just be too much. Auburn on deck for Alabama. I like Georgia to get it done here. Feels like this is maybe a little exhale spot there for Alabama.
And also, different ways you can also invest your money here when you look at that Kalshi and Poly market spot here, Joe. You see the prop bets here, first half winner, first half spread, and first half total. So if you like it full game, you could take it for the first half and see how you can do with that. But always some interesting options here that you can go back and forth with. If we flip it over, Joe, to the ACC, we told you already today, the Duke Blue Devils are the regular season champion in the ACC. Clemson, a very good ACC team looking for the tournament. North Carolina, the Tar Heels, they're going to play Clemson, Joe, But then again, this weekend, to end the regular season, it's going to be Duke and North Carolina, which Duke is going to be looking for some revenge after that close loss that they had over at the Dean Smith Center. If we look at this game and line it up, Joe, just to win the game, Carolina trading at a 61% chance, Clemson at a 39% chance. But if we're looking at the spread itself, a 54% chance that North Carolina covers by 3.5 points.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too. I mean, it feels like a short number, Donnie, for North Carolina, considering the venue and the implications of this matchup here. But they still don't have Caleb Wilson, North Carolina, which is their best player. So he is out of his cast, by the way, but he is not cleared just yet. But it does look like they may have him back for the ACC tournament. But I mean, call me crazy here. I'm not convinced North Carolina is going to be able to dictate the tempo. I don't think they're going to be able to dominate this Clemson team, who's already beaten them the last couple of times that they have played. I kind of like Clemson here. I think they righted the ship after, some terrible losses, Donnie, when you consider the way they started, 20-4, and then they lost to Florida State, Wake Forest, Duke, Virginia Tech. I like them to get it done here at a pretty decent price, I think.
Interesting look to their final regular season game. Clemson will be against Georgia Tech, and as we told you, Carolina's going to take on Duke. But Joe is right here. Losses to Virginia Tech, Duke, Wake Forest, and Florida State while having a 10-1 start in the ACC. And by the way, their only loss before that was an overtime loss to NC State. They were rolling, maybe coming back with a quality victory at home against Louisville. We'll see if they can do the same thing here against North Carolina. Back over to the SEC, Joe. It's going to be Kentucky and Texas A&M. We told you already. Florida Gators have won this conference, but still jockeying for position. And maybe Kentucky looking to build momentum towards the conference tournament here. But if we're looking tonight, Joe, Texas A&M is trading at a 53% chance to win this game outright. Kentucky at 47%. If we look at the line, Texas A&M to win by more than 1.5 points, that's trading at 53% right now, which means if you expect them to win by margin, a $100 investment pays back $189 on that 1.5 point spread.
Yeah, I think Kentucky's next game, its last game of the season, Florida. Ooh, yeah. Who already beat them pretty soundly there, but maybe peeking ahead a little bit because they are already in the tournament, Donnie. We know that. Really what Kentucky is playing for right now is seeding. And a win here against this A&M team on the road would go a long way to helping their seeding come Selection Sunday here. But both of these teams have had levels where they look like national champions, and then you look at them and watch them play sometimes and you go, huh? A&M, by the way, not great against top 50 teams listed in KenPom. Just 5-9 against those top 50 teams. They barely beat Oklahoma, which is 50th right now in KenPom. So I can't trust A&M in this spot. I think Kentucky likely gets it done here.
We got an interesting one in the MAC, Joe, and why not? The last team in Division I, major Division I college basketball here, looking to stay undefeated, has 2 games left to do it, and one of those games going to take place against Toledo. Now, Miami is home tonight, and they're the heavy favorites, but understand this from Toledo's perspective, Joe. They've won 4 out of 5 games, including 3 straight. 94-75 over Eastern Michigan, 79-69 over Northern Illinois, and 79-67 over Ohio, which Miami of Ohio is going to play Ohio in the final game of the season on the road. If we take a look at this game and you just want Miami to win this outright, trading at 80%, Joe, which means a $100 investment pays back $124. But against the spread itself, Miami of Ohio is listed on Kalshi as an 8.5 point favorite. That's trading at 53%. So a $100 investment there pays back $193 if they win by 9 points or more, Joe. How are we looking tonight, Toledo and Miami?
This is not a great matchup for Toledo, and here's why. As good as they are, you look at their numbers, Donnie, offensively efficient, great Toledo. They don't turn the ball over. They're great from 2-point range. The problem is they rank 330th nationally in 3-point attempt rate, which means they don't shoot the 3 very well. 3 is more than 2, and guess who shoots the 3 better than anybody in this conference? Oh, yeah, Miami of Ohio here, who's turning out to be the best story in all of college basketball. But the reality is we saw this the first go-around between these two teams. I think it was as much as a 24-point lead for Miami of Ohio. Easily handled them the first time. They are easily going to handle them this time, Donnie, because, again, 3 is more than 2.
It is incredible. You look at their schedule, Joe. January 17th, won in overtime against Buffalo. Yep. January 20th, won in overtime against Kent State here. Then the following game, if you remember, we talked about this one. They play UMass, 86-84 escape there against Buffalo 2 games later, 73-71. And then you talk about the game that they just won coming back there against Western Michigan, 69-67. They know how to be in tough games and win those games. I hope they can beat Toledo and Ohio to run the table and be completely undefeated. KenPom shows them at a 58.3% chance, Joe, to run the table, which means, again, just 2 more victories, and they will have done that here. Let's flip it over to the NBA. Detroit's going to play Cleveland, 2 teams that we might anticipate going to get some playoff action head-to-head. Winning the game outright, Detroit now currently trading, Joe, 55%. You want Cleveland to win it outright? It's 45%. If we're looking on the total, Detroit, minus 2.5, trading at 49% right now, Joe. Big game in the Eastern Conference, Detroit and Cleveland.
It is, but the Cavs are going to have no Donovan Mitchell again for this game. And we know that Harden has got a broken thumb, right? The Pistons will be welcoming back their big guy there, Isaiah Stewart. He had that 3-game suspension fighting again against Charlotte all there before the break. That wasn't great. But I'm sorry, without Donovan Mitchell, I mean, they barely beat Brooklyn over the weekend there, Donnie. Not to mention they're 13-18 against the number at home this year. They have been burning money. They're 0-2 as a home dog this year. So I kind of lean Detroit, healthier, more scoring punch. I think they go in there and get it done.
By the way, the difference is we talk about FanDuel and DraftKings. You're going to play an average of minus 110 price here, Joe. In this game, if you do pick Detroit to win and cover the 2.5 points, $100 investment pays back $205. That means plus money in your pocket with no juice there, listed at Kalshi as opposed to the sports books here. Interesting times as we go, people. More hot topics on the way next. Keep it right here on the grid.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here, I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Prediction Markets Edge right back at it here on the early line. It is a Tuesday. Hot topics flying around. Just hit some of the bigger games tonight in college basketball and the association. But sometimes, Joe, we like to get after here and have some fun with the topics on deck. Like, will Jason Tatum play in a game this season on Polymarket? Love to see this, Joe, because why? He's trading at a 98.9%. You said, well, wait a second. we're watching the show, Donnie. You already told us that Jason Tatum is due to come back on Friday. Well, Joe, if you invest $100 on will Tatum play a game this season, you return 90 cents on your investment. But it feels like, Joe, it's a free 90 cents. Or does he get injured in some of the lead up to that game on Friday? That's what the anticipation is.
That is exactly what the anticipation is. And we often say that, Donnie, right? Like that could very well be a situation where it's free and you only got to wait, 72 hours in order to get it.
Correct.
So I would go ahead and, that's what I would look at, Donnie. Again, I wouldn't invest all of the equity you might have in that bankroll, but it's certainly maybe the free money aspect of it with the prediction markets.
Now, some people are devious, right? They say, all right, coming back on that injury and he's going to get a couple more practices in. If you feel, Joe, he's not going to play the rest of the season, which means something happened to that Achilles within the time frame of playing on Friday night, a $100 investment would come back at $440. And by the way, if you were looking over the past, Joe, on February the 13th, which only a couple weeks ago, he was trading at 42.6% and now trading close to 100% on Polymarket.
Yeah, what a difference a week makes, right, Donnie?
Yeah.
Like, my goodness, unbelievable here. But again, I still think, I don't think there's any reason to fade that market, right? I don't think there's any reason to go against the grain there. I think it is what it is, Donnie, and either take it or move on in that market. That's all.
MVP winner for the NBA. And no, it's probably not going to be Jason Tatum because you got to play a minimum of 65 games. That's always been the caveat. But you know who's starting the trade and game steam now? He's back and he's playing. It's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander at a 73% trade point here on Kalshi, followed by Jokic at 15%, Cunningham, Wembanyama, and Jaylen Brown here. So it looks like as long as SGA plays the minimum 65 games, he is going to be the favorite. Now, injuries do happen in the NBA, but Joe, while he was injured, I said, you know what? If he comes back and an MVP is in sight, he is going to play those games, not going to sit the back-to-backs, because an MVP is not, hey, I want to make third-team All-NBA or second-team All-Defensive. The MVP means something here. If he's up for the MVP, which he is, Joe, he's going to play up the string. But is it smart to invest your money in SGA or take a chance that he might not meet that threshold and take somebody else like Cade Cunningham?
Well, defending MVP right here, Donnie, and ultimately the goal, I think, for him and that team is not him to win another MVP. It's for him to be healthy enough to run the gauntlet here again, which is the NBA postseason. And now between him, I think the Joker, there's, 2, maybe 3 games at most more that they can actually miss before they are not qualified to be considered for the MVP. So I still think Cade Cunningham is the guy to back here. Likely going to have the team with the best record in the East. And let's face it, anything is possible. If you've already been hurt, which the Joker and SGA have already been, they're going to treat them with kid gloves. They're not going to push them in order to be able to, let's hurry up and get him enough games in order to win the MVP. Cade Cunningham's not even close to not having enough games. So I think Cade Cunningham is the best and most viable investment right now in that market.
On December 28th, Joe, the trading was Jokic at 48.6%, SGA at 43.9%, and since then it's been a lot of SGA. But you also saw SGA being bet down to 58.8% when we weren't sure when he was coming back. But now that he's back, of course, trading at 73% now. He is the favorite to win the MVP in the predictive markets right now. Rookie of the Year winner in the NBA. How about this one? All year long, Joe, we were thought to believe this is going to be an easy one. It's Cooper Flag. Of course it is. He's trading at 41%, which isn't bad. You know the favorite is right now, Joe? 55%. It's Con Knipple. So if you invest that you believe Con's going to win this thing, a $100 investment pays back $182 as he is now the favorite.
Yeah, well, it's Con Knipple's to lose, right? And I don't know how he loses it, quite honestly, Donnie, if we're being serious here. Charlotte has been red hot. They have been for the better part of, a month and a half, almost 2 months now. And he's a big reason why. And teams, listen, it's not like he's the only guy on the team defensively that opponents have to worry about, right? It's very difficult to defend those guys because you got Ball, you've got Miller, you've got guys that are also shooting the three very well on that team. He's going to keep rolling as far as I'm concerned. And Cooper Flagg, obviously, we ain't going to see him again this year, Donnie. Who we kidding?
By the way, Cooper Flagg on December 30th was trading at close to 85%, Joe. Con Knippel, 6.9%. And even as early here as February 16th, Cooper Flagg, 82%. Con Knippel, 15.8%. And then you see today, Con Knippel, the favorite, at 55%. We just talked about the NBA MVP, Joe. And this is what we talk about. Why would I take it now? SGA is the overwhelming favorite. Did you just see that chart that you have on the screen? Things can change quickly due to injury and players just hitting the gas pedal and getting that momentum towards the end of the season. College basketball's top player, Joe. Seems like this one is over. Cameron Boozer trading at what? 98%, Joe.
Yeah, they're basically telling you in this market that race is over. There's no point looking at anybody else here, Donnie. So, and it's kind of hard, watching him again last night. If you've watched him throughout the season, he is by far worthy of the hype. And there are a ton of great players in college basketball, young guys this season, but none better than Cameron Boozer. That is one of those markets where it's just passed. There's nothing to talk about there. He is going to be your Naismith winner there.
Yeah, no minimums needed to play games in college. And again, there's only for Duke, I believe, only one game left, which is against Carolina this coming weekend at this point. So he's trading at 98%. Other guys, Dibansta, 7%. Boogie Flan, 3%. Richie Saunders, who's injured, he's trading at 1%. If you are looking for a sort of the field bet, which means anything but Cameron Boozer, if you go over to Kalshi and bet the no price at 3 cents here, $100 investment, Joe, pays back $3,334 if you want to play contrarian.
Yeah, I don't. Absolutely not. Because I think it's over, Don. And by the way, he is the best player. And there's no reason. I don't even think it's up for question. It might be a unanimous decision. No way am I looking to fade him at this point. Not with Duke.
Not even Darren Peterson trading at 1 cent here. Tough look for the Kansas prospect here. We'll be right back after the short break for more Prediction Markets.
How much do you think tanking is hurting the NBA right now, too? And what we're seeing, like we saw with that Jazz and Orlando game a week ago, how much do you think that's hurting the game?
I can't wait until professional sports in the United States adopts a European model, especially like a Premier League model, and they start doing relegation. The day you start doing relegation, everything changes. Everything will change.
Outspoken with Dan Cilio, only on SportsGrid.
Well, I ended up adding this since our show started here, Rohit, but his points prop tonight at 20.5 is the same number from the Iowa State game. That's a bit of a mistake, right? When we consider the gap in opponents here. I think Peterson specifically steps up. He needs to. I think he kind of owes this team a great performance.
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
I know that Florida lost at home to Auburn, and it's a real thing that happened. So you can't strike it from the record. But if you did, I think Florida's looked like the best team in college basketball for about 2 months. And I think there are a bunch of results that suggest that.
College basketball today, only on SportsGrid.
Right back out of here, Prediction Markets Edge. On the early line, it is a Tuesday, hot topics all the way through. We just covered some college basketball, which games you need to look towards tonight, and also some NBA talk and college basketball talk during award season coming up. Speaking of awards, we'll get those in just a few moments here. But, Joe, what's on people's mind? Bitcoin and the crypto marketplaces here. Just a short while ago, boy, I wish I would have bought Bitcoin at 25,000, 35,000, 45,000 because it's worth well over $100,000. Now, the question we're going to ask, Joe, is when will Bitcoin hit 150,000? And you might say, like, well, okay, if it's at around 100,000, it's got to go another 50. All right, that could be possible. It's been crashing of late, Joe. Had a little rally yesterday, but today, as I see, down another 3% to $66,746. So my question to you is, not only hitting the century mark again, when do you think it'll hit 150? Or are we just taking out contracts to the nose saying, this thing is going through some turbulent time? It might take a while before we see those prices again.
Well, listen, I think it is bound to eventually make a comeback here. Will it get to 150? I would tend to look at maybe the 100,000 market and expect that by the end of the year. But I just don't see this happening in right now in 2026, Donnie. I do not see Bitcoin making this miraculous comeback and getting to the 100,000 mark, much less the 150,000 mark. So I would only be looking to fade those kinds of markets with the higher priced offerings here for Bitcoin.
And also, like, here's how you can read these markets as well, Joe. Before May 2026, which again is coming up in just a few months here, the yes is 3%, but also before June 2026 is trading at 5% and also at a 3% chance. Why not grab the extra month? It's almost like saying, okay, you know what? I got 3 points. I'd like to buy that up to 3.5. Take the extra month at that point. We know it's a volatile market, but if you did invest before May, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $334. Other hot news topics here certainly is the Middle East. A question on Polymark here, Joe, that you can invest in. Will the Iranian regime fall by June 30th? If we read the rules market here, the market will resolve to yes if the Islamic Republic of Iran's current ruling regime is overthrown, collapsed, or otherwise ceases to govern by June 30th, 2026. Otherwise, the market will resolve to no. It looks like they're headed for a regime change, but could it be by June 30th?
The problem with these markets is they are very much influenced from headlines and news reports and everything else along those lines. But history teaches us in these types of markets that nothing when it comes to regime changes happens quickly, Donnie. So I would only be looking at the no in this spot here, expecting maybe a little bit more than a little more time than what they're anticipating here at the end of June.
By the way, Joe, we talked about award season in the NBA and also college basketball. Who's going to be Rookie of the Year, who's going to be MVP, and also who's going to be the Naismith Player of the Year in college basketball. Well, it is award season, if you haven't figured out here, for the actors making their rounds. And the biggest award that you can get is the Oscar for Best Actor here. That's the market we're going to tap into on Kalshi here. The favorite, Timothée Chalamet from Marty Supreme, trading at 53% here, followed by Michael B. Jordan in Sinners and Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another. If we're looking at that marketplace and you think it is going to be Chalamet, a $100 investment pays back $189. But on these markets right now, Joe, is it any indication that Michael B. Jordan is winning, Timothée Chalamet is not winning, but still the favorite here to win the Oscar?
Yeah, these are all TMZ-driven markets as well, Donnie. Very volatile because you'll hear a whole bunch of different things leading up ahead of time here. My hope is Michael B. Jordan gets done because I love that movie, Sinners there. I thought he did a fantastic job. But the reality is you can't count out Leonardo. All of this will switch and be very volatile once we get a little bit closer. And then, of course, once the TMZs of the world get involved and the headlines begin to change.
I haven't seen Marty Supreme yet here because I refuse to pay like the $20 rental fee here on Comcast, waiting for that to drop down to the $5.99. Sinners was a decent movie there. Michael B. Jordan certainly gaining steam. One Battle After Another is a free movie that you can get if you have your cable provider with the movies here. I couldn't make it through 15 minutes of that movie, so I will not be voting for Leonardo DiCaprio, who I love as an actor, just didn't like the movie overall itself. But how about this, Joe? On February the 21st, which wasn't too long ago, Timothée Chalamet was trading at 77% here to Michael B. Jordan at 8.2%. But as we said, this marketplace is changing based on TMZs, and also award season is here. Sinners is sweeping the board, Joe.
Yeah, no, they're doing a great job. But again, usually the pre-awards dinners and those types of things go one way, and then the Oscar goes the other. So yeah, just hold on to your tickets. Wait and see. There's some value on that board, but it's yet to play out.
What Joe is telling you, the Maxwell Awards, hey, look who won here. That's not the Heisman Trophy winner. The MVP of the NFL, hey, here's the Offensive Player of the Year. Two different awards here. Thanks for tuning in to Prediction Markets Edge right here on the Early Line. We will see you bright and early tomorrow morning.